Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be upon you, everyone. In this video, I'm not gonna speak in Arabic. I'm gonna speak in English. Why? Because it's an English learning video. So let's get started. So the first thing is the why. لماذا? And this is very important because it's the drive, the goal, why you're learning this language. Sometimes you'll find difficulty in the beginning and you will start to quit. So it's better that you put on a paper and you write down your goal. Why would you learn English? This very important skill in today's world, very important language. And I'm gonna help you with some reasons and you write your own as well. So for travel and for no travel, English is gonna help you whether you're gonna travel or not. If you're gonna travel, it's gonna open job opportunities. It's gonna open ways for learning other cultures, for visiting many places, because English is a universal language. So many countries, they will be able to understand you if you speak English. The other thing is, even if you don't travel, even if you stay at your place, at your home, you will still benefit from learning English. How is that? Well, there are online courses, there are YouTube channels, very beneficial. For example, I'm studying computer science here at Toronto Metropolitan University, and the first course I took it before I came to Canada. It was CS50. I took it in summer.
A database-specific language that makes it much easier, much faster to ask questions of the very same data. It's a relational database in the sense, too.
Some YouTube channels, for example, you have in mathematics, there is 3 Blue, 1 Brown. That's a very beautiful channel in mathematics. There is, for example, Ninja Nerd. That's for like medical students. That's also a very, very good channel. And there are a lot of very useful channels. If you learn English, many doors will be open for you, many resources will be open for you. And these are just some examples of courses and useful YouTube channels. And the other thing you should consider is, I call them unexpected opportunities. I'll give you 2 examples. One example is our brothers in Palestine and in Gaza. So they did not expect the events of the 7th of October. And when they happened, and many of them are now facing starvation and oppression, many of them are recording themselves, making videos in Instagram and Facebook and other social media in English to reach a wider audience. So this is one benefit of learning English. Another example is my case. I did not expect to be the first in the baccalaureate exam on 2023. But when I got the first place and I applied to university, they asked for an English exam. So I either had to give them TOEFL or IELTS. So I went with TOEFL exam. So you will have to take an English exam if you want to apply to university. And if I did not learn English before that, I would not succeed in this exam because I had only 3 days or 4 days to prepare for this exam, which is not enough time to learn English from the beginning. So I just learned the strategies for the exam, how is the exam composed, the times, the sections, and everything. But English, I already had it. So that's why it's very important. Some opportunities in life, they come. And when they come, if you miss them, they will not wait for you. Now, speaking of TOEFL, let's understand a little bit what English is. In TOEFL exam, they will test you in 4 things. Reading, قراءة, listening, استماع, speaking, تكلم, and finally, writing, ولا الكتابة. So these are the 4 main skills in English. So here I have 2 questions. The first one is, which of these 4 do you think is the most important skill? Okay. Of course, all of them are important, but which is the most? And the other question, the second question is, which skills are the main focus in our schools, in middle school and high school? Well, let me start by answering the second question. From my experience, when I was in middle school and high school, they were focusing on reading and writing. And the proof is, well, the exam is you read the text and you answer comprehension questions about the text. And then at the end, you write written expression. So there is not too much focus on listening and speaking. Yes, the professor may speak in English, and then you will improve your listening. But mostly, teachers may not be speaking English at class because not all students understand it. So they don't speak fully in English. They speak in Arabic to make the students understand the information. So in general, these 2 things are not focused on at schools. Which brings me back to the first question, and the most important skill is actually listening. And let me tell you why. First thing is, these two skills, reading and listening, are reception skills. ولا التلقي. It means the information comes to you. You absorb the information. The other two, expression skills. ولا التعبير. It means the information comes from you. So as a student, as a learner, in general, you will need to receive the information more than you do need to express it. That's why they say, for example, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. It means you need to listen more and talk less. So for example, if I am in a lecture and I need to listen to the professor speaking for 3 hours, I don't have to say a single word. Maybe I'll ask a couple of questions, but I will need to listen and focus and follow along the professor for a long period of time. So listening is the most important one. Now reading is also very important, but when you're reading, you usually have the time to go back and read again, to open up Google Translate and translate the words at ease. But in listening, if you miss the information, you miss it. If you are speaking to someone, they will not repeat everything they say. So you will have to catch the information when it's thrown at you. Well, one way you could improve your listening in school is by speaking to your professor and asking him questions in English in class. And don't be afraid or embarrassed. Everyone started at some point. So if you speak in English in your English class, your professor will respond in English. And this way you will improve both your listening and speaking at the same time, because you will have a discussion with your professor in English. Okay? And I encourage you to do this for all the languages if you want to improve yourself. School is a great resource, so leverage it. Take advantage of it, okay? But this is not enough. We said listening is the most important skill. So if school doesn't focus on it, you will need to, all right? Which brings me to the following point. How do we improve our listening? So we did the why. Why are we learning English? We learned the what English is, simply. Now let's focus on the how. And I'm gonna mention 2 points only, which go together. If you have only one of them, I think you will not go far in any language. You need to have both of them, side by side. Now, the first one I'm gonna mention is exposure. Really important. And what do I mean by that? Exposure to the language, it means listen as much as you can. The more you listen, the better your listening becomes. The more you read, the better your reading becomes. Like, live with the language. Like, if your phone is in Arabic, go to the settings and make it in English. Make your life in English, because you're learning this new language. So surround yourself with English environment. Listen to videos, watch documentaries about like nature, read useful books, watch the news in English, expose yourself to the language, listen, get a lot of input. So this exposure is really important. To prove my point, if you see, I actually learned French from primary school. From 3rd year primary school. And I started learning English from middle school. So technically I should be better at French. But my level in French is nowhere near my level in English. My level in English is much, much better. And the reason is, for French, I was just learning it at school. I was not exposing myself to the language outside of school. English, however, I used to learn it in school, focus on it, but also outside of school. I would listen to videos. I remember since I was a kid, I would, for example, the PC crashes or something, I get a message in English, an error message. So I need to solve it, to debug it. I will look for videos, I will watch documentaries. I used to play games, single-player games. They give me a mission, they say, go this way, do this mission. Even though at the beginning, I was not understanding anything, but that's okay. If you don't understand the video you're watching, that's okay, turn on subtitles, Arabic subtitles. And you listen and you're reading subtitles, that's okay. But just listen as much as you can.
I feel that if I can continue to expose myself or expose these words to my brain in different ways, eventually I will learn them.
Now the second point is, exposure by itself is not enough. It's not gonna build you systematically. It's not gonna give you the foundations. And this is where the second point comes in, which is commitment. Well, think of it as commitment is the building. You're building the foundation. This is where the school comes in, the institute, the course you're taking. So school, institute, course, YouTube channel, an app of learning English. So think of commitment as you're building your foundations and exposure as you are expanding your knowledge. That's why I told you these two things, they must be together if you want to learn the language. So you commit yourself. You learn in school. You learn the grammar, you learn the basics, because these experts, these English teachers and trainers, they know what to give you in the correct order. So they build you systematically. They will give you the foundations you need. So you either take the course in school or in an institute, private institute, or you take a course, or you go to a YouTube channel like The American English and you go to his playlists, or you download an app like Taliq, which is also by The American English, Ibrahim Adil. So these things, if you follow them and you commit to them, commitment, it means you do them repeatedly, they will give you the foundations. And you have your foundations and you're expanding at the same time. So these two walk together, as I said. Now I want to go back to where we started. Why learning English? By now, I expect that you have written the reasons why you're learning English. And each time you feel like you're starting to quit or give up, look back at them, especially if you're starting out. This why is very important, because only the beginning is hard. And let me share with you this information, the 20-80 rule. It's actually not a rule, it's just an observation. So what this observation tells us is that 20% of the content is 80% of importance. 20% of all the words and expressions is actually 80% of what you need. So if you just learn those 20%, just starting out, it's going to be difficult. But once you reach that point, you learn that 20%, you will be able to learn the other 80% with ease. So never quit, continue learning, and it's going to be like a journey. It may take months, years. Just enjoy the process and always commit yourself. Commitment and exposure, always.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Here are my friends, Quraishi, Omar, and Omar Amin. They will give you advice on how they learned English. So let's start with Quraish. What advice would you give them, Quraish?
So my first advice would be that when you see everyday things, think about how you can say them in English. So, for example, you come into a room and you see, okay, there's a table here, there's a chair here, there are like these many people here. You think to yourself, how can I say this in English? In English.
Yes.
So you think in your own language, whether it's Arabic or anything, and then you convert it to your English.
Okay, what about you, Omar?
Okay, I think I'd speak in Arabic, ماشي؟
طيب أنت عربي وأنا عربي. تفضل.
أول نصيحة وأهم نصيحة يعني بقولها لنفسي دايما، وهي دايما سهلة وكلنا عارفينها، بس النصيحة دي هي الاستمرارية. دايما حتى لو 5 دقايق في اليوم، لو 10 دقايق في اليوم، يعني don't stop learning. لازما حتى لو قليل. وممكن أرشح قناة، أول قناة كنت بسمعها في listening, because listening is very important. The American English. يعني مشيت معاهم من البداية.
أيوة ذكرت لهم هذه النقطة، قلت لهم لازم أول شيء تلتزم في شيء، تلتزم في كورس في المدرسة، تلتزم في قناة مثلا زي أمريكان إنجليش، في معهد، في دورة زي ما عمل عمر. فهو بدأ الكورس الاستماع وكان يبني نفسه منهجيا مع زي أمريكان إنجليش. فهذا البناء مع أنه يبني نفسه هي بيستمع كمان الفيديوهات ويوسع يعني قدراته في اللغة. بارك الله فيك. وكمان ركز.
You have to speak every day, even if you are going to speak to yourself, but you have to speak English every day. وهي long journey، يعني رحلة طويلة بس سهلة. يعني I'm still learning على فكرة، يعني كلنا عادي. Make it every day, do anything every day وما تزهقش يعني.
بارك الله فيك. عمر أمين.
I have 2 tips. My first one is, so when I was young, obviously, I was put in an all-English school, and in the beginning it was very hard to try to kind of talk with my peers or even my teacher. So what I found easy was that I would try speaking with them even if I made a lot of mistakes. Alhamdulillah, it was a very supportive environment, which helped me, learn from every mistake I made. My teachers would correct me. in the way I pronounce things, or if I like how I form my sentences.
But even if the environment is not supportive, even if some people make fun, the students should not be embarrassed,
Oh,
or
100%.
because everyone starts at some point. So even if everyone like makes fun, eventually or later on you will learn the language and they will stay where they are. So like don't care about what people say. Always learn. Everyone started from the beginning. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, don't be embarrassed at all to try to speak. You know, even if there's like a sentence that you've never said, or in a way that you know, because you're trying to pronounce it in a way a native person would say it. Don't be embarrassed at all. It's quite the opposite. It's people you know think that's very courageous of you. My second tip would be read more books, even if they're like you know elementary books, or you know like books from like young adults. Try reading them, and every single time you come like you read a word that you've never heard before or you've never seen before, search it up right then and there, write it on a post-it note and put it beside that word in the book.
I think for this advice, it's very important that they choose a book which matches their level. Because if you choose a book which has maybe 10 words which you don't know in a single page, then you will just be looking for every word.
Yeah.
And you will just lose the experience of reading the actual book and the content. Yeah, Omar wants to talk about it. Let me come here. Go ahead, what's the point?
Okay, when you're learning a new vocab, like if you want to know the meaning of a new word, don't translate it into Arabic. اوعى تترجمها للعربي.
أيوة
You
بالعربي.
just you just have to search for it and type meaning next to it on Google, and then try to know its meaning in English.
If you find a word which you don't understand, you look for it in Google. For example, I didn't understand the meaning of tremendous. So I will say tremendous meaning in Google. And they will give me the definition. I will read the definition and try to understand. If I still don't understand, I will look in images. If you go the upper bar, you will see images in Google. So you will see some images and you will get a better idea of the word. And there is also a website called youglish.com. I will put the link in the description. When you put a word in this website, it will give you native speakers pronouncing this word. So you will listen to it and expose yourself to that word.
Amin, as they generate tremendous quantities of energy.
The more effort you spend looking for the meaning of a word, the more likely that word is going to be stuck in your head and you'll learn it better. So this is a very important point, which is to learn English by thinking in English. طيب كنت راح انهي المقطع بس عمر قال لي لازم اقول شيء اختم به. ايش هو عمر؟
والله العظيم أهم حاجة، يعني كل التخطيط ده وكل الحاجات دي أصلا ممكن في الآخر ما تنجحش ولا تعمل أي حاجة، بس أهم حاجة هي اللي أنت تدعي ربنا. يعني مش لازم ندعي ربنا عشان الجنة أو النار أو مش عارف إيه، لأ عادي ممكن من أصغر حاجة لحياتك أو أصغر حاجة في حياتك تدعي بيها ربنا عادي جدا.
صح.
فلو عملت كده وخدت بالأسباب أنت 100% ربنا.
فالدعاء طول طريق.
بالظبط.
وما توفيقي إلا بالله.
بالزبط.
عليه توكلت وإليه أنيب. بارك الله فيكم. يلا.